I think there's a lot to talk, like every time in these days. And first of all, I want just to ask you, how are you? How is your family? And how's the situation in Portland, David?
Well, me and my family are doing fine. Um, you know, but it's often like you're sort of looking around at a world that's burning while you're like sitting in the middle of the pool or something. I mean, it's very nice in our little apartment, but I mean, our neighbors just got their home broken into 2 days ago, and my friend Ann Feeney just died of COVID-19 at a hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 2 days ago. So there's a lot going on in our lives, But me and my family are fine. Portland, downtown Portland is still completely boarded up, and windows are broken, and plywood everywhere, and businesses are closing, and they're blaming it all on the teenage anarchists.
Teenage anarchist. Okay.
they're they're the ones who caused all the problems. Yeah.
So the teenage anarchists, they have so much power in Portland.
Lots of power. Yeah, those few rocks they got, the broken windows, they've just paralyzed the entire city
Yeah, I think
somehow.
that's a problem. Though the anarchists always get their opinion just through violence. So, but it's okay. We have to adjust to that. I think it's good. We have got very serious times, but I think it's always good.
And what's happening over there? You've had some riots. We keep hearing, at least in some networks, about riots going on in the Netherlands and
The Netherlands,
other
yes.
countries. But
No,
how about Germany? Anything like that happening there?
no rights. But yesterday I witnessed demonstration near to my home about 500 meters ago. I just walked down the street to make my walk before I have to be at home at 8 p.m. And then there were 4 police motorcycles coming around, and first impression was there is a famous politician also coming around. So I thought, oh, is Mrs. Merkel visiting me? So I have to give her some advice. But now,
of course.
But then it turns out that these nice conspiracy theorist guys, they make a demonstration in the cars.
In their cars, right?
And there were about 1,000 cars going by. So I was then really upset, shouted them, called them a fascist, and so I have to get out my anger.
So why did you shout at them for being in their cars, or for what? Which conspiracies were they?
No,
protesting
they are guys. So the friends of Mr. Trump. So they have the same opinion that they oppress their freedom here because they have to wear a mask, and that were guys from the do you know about the Reichsbürger?
Oh, is this a fascist group, or what's
yes, fascists, but special. They just said we are living in a country with no peace treaty after World War II, and just accept the borders of 1938.
Right, they still believe in that the Third Reich is happening, right? Is that their thing?
No, it's not so much the Third Reich. It's the Emperor's Reich,
okay.
Weimar Republic, and they also made themselves identity cards, and so but they
from
are
the Weimar identity cards.
Yes, but some of them are very violent. Not some of them are just crazy nerds,
Right.
Some of them are really last year there was I think one Reichsbürger killed a police officer in when they want to arrest him, but
Yikes.
but they are a big part of this movement against corona.
So what else? What other parts does the movement against Corona? What is it made up of? Because I mean, like at least coming from here, it seems it's often kind of surprising when we hear about the reports, because like the way the media is at least talking about the protests in Europe, especially in Germany, they talk about like it's a combination of the right and the left as they are described by the media. I don't know if that, which is very kind of unusual, and I wonder if you could dissect this movement a little more. Who are these people?
I never been to such a
So
demonstration.
you were shouting at them, but you're not sure who they are exactly.
They
you
are.
just needed to shout.
There's a bunch of varieties. They are not all real fascists, but it is that they consist of these Reichsbürger. Then they consist of really far right people, NPD. People support the AfD, but then there are also people, they are thinking in a spiritual way. That's not bad, but then in a spiritual way that it's dangerous. So
Right.
people,
like vaccines are going to hurt you or something. Like
gonna hurt you, and Bill Gates
control.
yes, yes. They are
It's a great science fiction plot, though. I mean, one of my favorite science fiction.
But
yeah.
But I think there are also, I think that's right, some left ones, but I don't. I couldn't call them left ones.
So, right, more just conspiracy people that are not right wing.
Yes, right, not right wing, but I think okay, you have got also crazy idiots in the left scene, but these are the problem is that the right people, they want to determine infiltrate the normal people, and these anti-COVID protests are just
some of them are just regular people, a lot of hippies probably.
Yes,
people that are not into modern medicine and that sort of thing, right? Yes, I mean,
but they the right wing wants to get these people,
recruit
them, so, but not saying we are
right
fascist. They want us in a more accurate way, and but that these people, I think that they have no brain. They say something and they believe in every conspiracy theory, but all the conspiracy theories are based on anti-Semitism and fascism. If you go to the core, you know. But these I think these people that they say we are not right wing people or fascist people, but we go with these people. So they waved the Reichskriegsflagge, the flag of the emperor from former times.
Is that Bismarck?
No. It was yes, Bismarck was in the end of the 19th century, and the last emperor, Wilhelm II, who reigned until 1918.
That's Weimar.
Yes, Weimar. But the Nazi flag is not allowed. So
Right.
for the Nazis, if you have someone that has this flag in his hands, you know that
It's like
it's a
it's like
Nazi.
yeah, like a veiled kind of thing,
Yeah,
like using terms like using numbers like 88 and that sort of thing,
yeah,
which
88.
which many people here still think means you just like pianos,
yeah.
because there's 88 keys on a piano. So that's
Or
another.
they have AH on the
Yeah.
license plate and all these
Yeah.
crap. But these people that say, I don't care about going to a demonstration with fascists and say I'm not a fascist. It's and in Germany it really is that things 10 years ago you don't say in public because it's anti-Semite. It's a little bit fascist now. The opinion of the people, they say we are in the middle of the society. It's going even more far right.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more acceptable to say things that you wouldn't have been saying before. Yeah.
But I don't know how you couldn't talk to these people because they are dogmatic. They are not open to a racial discussion, and so but they go and demonstrate in their cars. Okay, it's their right to demonstrate, everything's okay, but so it's my right to shout it then.
But there were thousands of them, huh?
I don't know. I think the cars were going and about half an hour. And a friend of mine, he lives also in Ludwigsburg. He said he was because of that he stood with his car in a traffic jam.
Right.
So it must be a lot of people. So we have got the next village here. There are also a lot of fascists. And it was I wrote a song that's called National Flags, and I wrote it because of an incident at the Football World Cup Championships, and Germany won, and there was someone waving his emperor flag. And so I shouted at them, and all the other people accepted. So I write a song about national flags. And that was really what I couldn't understand, because a lot of people don't know, normal people, what this flag means. So they should.
I mean, it used to be that you would never see any kind of a national flag being flown, any kind of a German national flag being flown in Germany. I mean, in Hamburg, I think it was more common to see a Danish flag in some of the windows, because Hamburg was once part of Denmark, and so people, at least left wingers would fly Danish flags in their windows sometimes. But I think in the neighborhood I was hanging out at in Hamburg, I definitely saw more Danish flags than German flags.
So it's very befremdlich. So a lot of people here don't understand, because in the US, so much people always having the flag there. So it's here because of the history. It's
an offensive statement. I agree. I think it is offensive here too. I just think that there's just been so much more reflection in German society compared to here, in terms of what nationalism is all about. I was actually talking with a historian recently named Peter Cole, who's working on a project to bring the Stolpersteine concept to the U.S., starting with Chicago, with the 1919 pogroms against black people in that they call the race riots in 1919, and they could have those. They're going to be made of glass instead of brass. But they'll be in the sidewalk. really sort of hard glass kind of little squares,
Yeah,
just like in Germany, you know.
I think a lot of people, if you wave the normal German flag, that are not all fascists, but that are people that are proud of Germany. Sometimes they have an excuse. They said we're just football supporters. So there are a lot of also left people. If there is a football World Cup championship, they also have their Germany tricot. So it depends on. So in my
Yeah,
opinion, all national
circumstance.
flags are fuck, but they don't. I think people don't realize what they think it's just a flag, but they don't realize what nationalism means.
No.
And if you then they say, oh, you also could have another flag, have a flag of your town, but I think that's different.
I mean, for some people, the flag, whatever their flag is, it just represents where they're from. If you know, but of course, you know, if you've been bombed by a plane that was dropping bombs with that flag on it, then you have a very different association with that
Yeah.
flag. Whether it's a German flag or a U.S. flag or a British flag. But the difference between you know, Cuban nationalism and U.S. nationalism is that you know, nobody's been bombed by a plane with a Cuban flag on it, whereas a lot of people have been bombed by planes with American flags on them. So it's a very different kind of nationalism. It's imperialism is a very different kind of nationalism than the kind of nationalism that's defending a country against imperialism, like Cuban or Vietnamese or nationalism or Nicaraguan nationalism. It has a very different, you know, Irish nationalism has a very different flavor than German or American or British or French nationalism, which it has a very, very ugly history.
No, I agree, but I think also nationalism in every country, I say it's not good, because you see that you always, also if you say you're a patriot, you say a patriot, I'm proud of my country, but I don't think other countries are worse than my country. But I think all these people in their inner minds, they really think we're a little bit better than the other ones, and we don't want to cooperate it. So that's so I think I watched too
Yeah.
much CNN the last the last time, and yeah, sometimes it's okay because they you got live reports from all the incidents and so. But what I think, there are really people that talking like a priest in a church. They think
It's just such propaganda.
and
Yeah.
so. I don't. I just want to ask you, it to the people here in Germany. You have the opinion that they are the Republicans, they're a little bit fascist, and then you have the Democrats. They are more the capitalist, but nationalism. But where do you think the people like you, the people that want a modern society, a more equal society, what do they have do they have a platform in the US?
Not politically, no, they're not in any kind of a political party. No, that's one of the big differences between this very primitive two-party democracy and basically most of the countries in Europe where you have multiple parties, where even if the more left-wing party is not in power, at least it is represented by a party with offices and people in parliaments and stuff like that. You know, you have Ines Listen in Denmark, you have Die Linke in Germany. You have parties like these that you know, they don't control the government, but they have members in the parliament, and they have to be their position is part of the discussion. Whereas here, I mean, you have some left faction of the Democratic Party that there are the ones who vote against every year there's an $800 or $700 billion military spending bill, right? And most Democrats and all the Republicans almost vote for it every time. And there are some Democrats that vote against it, and there's some Democrats that vote against any war efforts that are happening, but they're a minority of the Democratic Party. So, both parties are dominated by the capitalists and the imperialists, and they argue over details, and maybe with Trump they argue over more details, I guess. But I would say, Trump made noises about not supporting U.S. imperialism and taking troops out of different countries, and these, but he basically was supporting imperialism, supporting the massive military budgets. And the people on the left, basically, so socialists, communists, anarchists, anybody with any kind of a real analysis of the problems. I mean, anybody who's against nationalism, anybody who doesn't want to finish a speech with saying something like "God bless our troops," like Biden ends all of his speeches with, people that think CNN and Fox are both just propaganda mouthpieces. We don't have political power in terms of the Congress or most state legislatures. The system, as Trump says, is rigged. And it's true. It's rigged. It's not rigged to support. It's rigged to support people like him and people like the Democratic leadership, the rich. Which of course Trump and most of the people in the Congress are part of that group. They're rich. That's not all of them, but the vast majority. And the Democrats are even richer than the Republicans on average in the Congress.
But I think there are a lot of poor people and a lot of people that don't benefit from these from the capitalism, and they want, I think, another society, and they also don't want just the democratic capitalist like it's now. Okay.
Yeah.
Biden is far more better than Trump, but I think
there's a lot of people who want something else. I mean, this is why Trump was so popular. This is why Bernie Sanders was so popular. And this is why, there's a lot of people just in the streets, not being part of electoral politics in any way. I mean, there's a lot of discontent.
But why is it so difficult that they have a voice to be heard? What is the problem?
Well, in terms of electoral politics, the problem is that money runs this country, and it's run on a total. The whole basis of the system that gets people elected is based on who has the money, and it's all about fundraising. So we don't have a very democratic kind of democracy, and then it's winner take all. So you have to not only, it's like it's set up so that you really need a lot of money, because you need to be the one who gets the most votes, and anybody else just gets nothing. And which to American audience listening, that sounds normal, but you people in the United States should know that this idea that I just described is not normal for the rest of the world. In the rest of the world's democracies, it's not like the one who gets the most votes gets everything and everyone else gets nothing. That's not how it works in the rest of the world. In the more democratic countries like in Germany and Denmark and France and any number of other countries. So this it's a very badly set up system, and then it's completely corrupted by money.
So there is also no chance that a lot of people say, okay, first step is to have another voting system like in Europe, that they that they have a community that say, okay, we want another voting system that's more fair. And don't you think they also, if there is a mass of people that for example, that they have they collect writings,
Yeah,
that a lot
petitions.
of people
That's a
underwrite.
very good idea. It's a very good idea, and it does. It has happened locally in different places where But happening on a big level, on federal level, or I think on state level, it's unlikely because both parties are against it. Because the system as it is benefits the two parties, and they want to keep it this way. But yeah, if there were a big enough movement for opening it up to more like a European style multi-party democracy, then it's conceivable to make that work. But it's a huge undertaking, and it's such a propaganda machine against it. Talking about how we have the best democracy in the world and the oldest democracy, and what a great constitution we have, and who would want to change this brilliant masterpiece of a document? And there's all this nationalism to try to contend with if you're trying to, and then you need 2/3 majority of Congress to make these kinds of changes. So you would not, you need both parties, unless you're going to get there in a totally different way. Like if you have maybe millions of people in the streets that are completely paralyzing the country and demanding, that we change the electoral system. But I think any movement like that would be demanding a lot of other things than just, changing the electoral system. There are so many other problems that by the time we had a movement on the streets like that, it would be one that had a lot more demands than that. But it would be a nice start. I mean, if we had a system like that, there would a lot of, the country would be a very different place, I think.
And I think the Black Lives Matter movement, and so I thought, okay, there are a lot of people that say we are fed up, we want to change something. The problem, I think, now Biden is like the new messiah, because he blasts all the bad things of Trump away, and all the people are believing, okay, now comes the one who solves all the problem and all the crap that Trump does. And so I think they are perhaps not so much critical the mainstream anymore, or I'm wrong, I don't
No,
know.
I think you're totally right. I mean, it's just so laughable, so bizarre. I mean, I see it with people, who I have some kind of connection with on, maybe through my children or whatever, but like on Instagram and stuff. I mean, people are just so happy that that Biden has been elected, as if this, he's gonna magically make all our problems disappear, like they're living in Oz or something. I mean, it's just strange, as if all those people that voted for Trump and and all those media outlets that are sowing complete disinformation to tens of millions of people every day, as if they've just disappeared. I mean, just because they're not in power, they're easier to ignore, because if you don't watch Fox and you don't, then you could pretend it doesn't exist when it's not running the country, I guess, but these people are not going away. And I mean, maybe if Biden and the Democrats are able to really successfully change and turn the situation around economically, and really reverse what has been I guess, a 45-year trend of the working class getting more and more poor in this country, which happens to match Biden's entire political career. It just, I mean, not that he's the one to blame for it, but the entire time that he's been active in politics, the working class in this country has been getting more poor, and the rich have been getting richer. And that's been happening throughout, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, ever since the 1970s. So, I mean, I think that needs to be turned around. And otherwise, if that's not turned around, then I think actually what we'll see is a lot more active movements that we can identify as right wing or left wing. We can identify as, identity politics, or as white supremacist, or however we identify these movements. We can identify them lots of different ways. But as with the fall of Yugoslavia,
Mhm.
It is not these nationalistic sentiments that created the problem in the first place. It's economics. And you don't solve problems of economics by helping different groups get along with each other better when that's not the main problem in the first place. I mean, if the main problem in the first place is overwhelmingly this trend of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, that needs to be addressed, head on. And we'll see, if that can be done. But if that can't be done, if that isn't done, then we'll see a lot more Proud Boys, and we'll see a lot more police violence, and we'll see a lot more, a lot more of society falling apart, because you can't just have all this poverty and all this misery. People are going to find someone to blame, and if the government doesn't solve this problem, people will, take it into their own hands. And that can take lots of different forms. And I would love it if that took the form of workers of the world unite, and, everybody get together and have a class war, and evict the landlords, and, send them all to the desert or whatever. But, it probably takes other forms, unfortunately, it takes a lot of other forms, like these marches that we're all seeing.
I think the problem is that there are 70 million Trump voters.
Yeah.
And I think it's what I ask myself, all these 70 million Trump voters, if they are just voted because they think, okay, Trump, if I vote for him, my economic situation is getting better. And if there comes one with the same arguments that is more on the progressive or on left side, is he willing to change, or are these Trump voters also right wing and national supremacist, that there is no chance to get them on another way? You know what I mean? So
Personally, I am completely convinced that most of the Trump voters are people that you could potentially communicate with, and are not necessarily, committed to any kind of like agenda, fascist or white supremacist, agenda. I think many of Trump's supporters are certainly committed to that kind of agenda, but I think a very, very large number of them are much more flexible, much more sort of looking for answers, much more open to lots of other possibilities. And I think that if those of us who are actually interested in changing the world and saving this society from very dark possible fates, then we have to find lots of different ways to communicate with Trump's base of support, and we cannot ignore the idea of trying to communicate with them. We have to try a lot of different ways to communicate with them. Not only should we not ignore them, but we should, and not only should we communicate with them, but we should do it in as many different creative ways as possible.
So, are there practical movements that think in that direction, that are now after the election, that raise out of the situations to get in touch with the people, or is it just that you think that it would be good to communicate with them, or do you think there are movements that have the same aspects?
I mean, mainly, I think it would be a good idea, and it's not happening. And mainly, what's happening is lots of polarization, lots of division. But I think rather than trying to really actually sort of talk and communicate with people with very different views, I think more effective potentially is actually organizing and being involved with campaigns that are where the goal is something that there's a commonly shared interest for lots of different people. So regardless of who these people are who voted for Trump, if they're members of the working class, then they would benefit from things like affordable housing. And so, any campaign for affordable housing, whether these people who supported Trump know it or not, this is going to be good for them. And I think it's possible that to win over support from some people for ideas like this, especially if they can be sold in a way that is appealing to people's interests or people's ideas of what's right and wrong. Like, I mean, if you talk about government regulation, people maybe don't like that idea so much. But if you talk about standing up for your rights, then people relate to that idea. Everybody likes the idea of standing up for your rights, So it's just, I think how you communicate about these things can be done in different ways depending on who you're trying to speak to. But in the end, the entire working class benefits from real affordable housing. And, even if they aren't campaigning for that, it's something, just to take that as a prime example of the kind of thing that we need, I think. And we need that kind of movement. And then we need to invite people into the movement who see it's a good thing, and that needs to be the emphasis. Inclusion needs to be the emphasis, in the class war that needs to happen.
I think, in my opinion, what we could do is the form of self-organizing. So organize structures of an alternative society. So what I mean is like projects that I also was involved in, like urban gardening. So people come together from different kinds. They have a practical thing to do, and so they don't know that they are anarchists. A lot of people say, but
they don't need to use the word.
They act like in the structures. Or I applied for a school that is I really excited about it. A teacher about 100 kilometers distance from here. She wants to establish a school, a basic school, elementary school, with 24 pupils, and they learn in the nature, in the practical way, and not so much in the schoolroom. And it's good because, okay, they have to pay for the school, but they pay according to their income. So I was very I think that are the little steps you can do, and there are people that want to do this, and I hope it's a little bit in some people here in Germany that think, okay, we have to change the society. They are not all people, but I think also conservative people are thinking a little bit more about an alternative to capitalism, a little bit more than before. It's in my opinion.
And also like things like those kinds of mutual aid projects, neighborhood projects, community gardens, even though these kinds of things are so especially beneficial to anybody who's struggling. I mean, a community garden can be such a wonderful thing because it can provide half of your, or more than half of your food for a summer or more. But for other people, it's just a nice neighborhood thing, good chance to meet your neighbors and do something with your hands. But it's something that usually the more conservative, politically or socially conservative people in a neighborhood, a well-run community project like that, they like it. They don't, even if there's some people with dreadlocks and involved, kind of from different neighborhoods involved, they still think, oh, this is nice. They're doing something. And I think that may be a little less true of organizing something like my project here, which is a eviction defense squad so that when there's evictions happening, we can respond to it, and as a neighborhood, as a group.
What is eviction? What's the meaning? I don't know.
When the police come to throw somebody out of their house because they have not paid the rent or they have some other problem.
Okay. Okay. And you have a squad there where
there's been a number of different people and groups who have been getting organized around here and all over different cities around the country to respond to evictions, to try to prevent evictions from happening or to help people move back into places after they've been evicted. So there's been some pretty good little success stories recently here in Portland and other cities. And I think, but everybody is expecting that at some point in the next few months, it's quite likely that there might be a lot more evictions happening, depending on what happens with congressional efforts to bail out the country economically, and what happens with the virus, and what happens with the eviction moratoriums, and a lot of different factors that cannot be predicted. But many of us have been expecting things to get much worse with evictions. And so there's different groups that have been trying to organize locally. And since I can't tour and play music, I've been trying to do other things like organize eviction defense. So I've been getting the word out in different ways about this project, putting up a lot of stickers and posters around town, and building a sort of a list, a text list, a text mob, so that I can notify people by text message if there's an eviction happening, that sort of thing.
You can send me a link or something, though I could. Oh, that's great.
Artistsforrentcontrol.org actually is the that's the I can put up a little link right here on the screen even.
So there's always hope.
Yes. Here we go.
David, was really nice talking to you, and
great talking to you.
Next month, and take care of you, and I think times are getting better, and I think perhaps at the end of the year we could meet, perhaps. And
I think seems both my parents have gotten vaccinated, so I mean that's seems like that seems like progress. Yeah.
My parents are also, they have got vaccinated in March, so but
they will be this coming March.
This March, but
they're scheduled next month.
Yes, but the problem is here with the vaccine.
Yeah,
They
the
ordered,
shortage.
shortage and
The European system didn't work. Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Okay, David, have a nice evening. Bye.
Take care, Frank.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.